that you could experience the best life ever, would you try? Are you heading along the right path in life? Welcome to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life with your hosts Jim and Lynn Swearingen. In our program, you'll learn to dispel the myths surrounding hypnosis, and by doing so, start to piece together the life that you've always wanted. Now, here are your hosts, Jim and Lynn Swearingen.
Welcome to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. I'm Jim.
And I'm Lynn.
Bringing you uncommon solutions for common problems. Our goal is to give you the knowledge and tools you need to let go of limiting beliefs and tap the power of your mind. You can't live the life of your dreams. You can't have fulfillment. Life is an adventure. Come walk with us today.
Thanks, sweetheart. I'm excited today, but sad at the same time. We get to talk to Darrell Knoch once more today, but it's the final show of our three-part series. Last week, our talk was all about living in a state of gratitude and how living that way makes you a magnet for success. Today, we'll be focusing on activating the power of persistence and how to propel yourself toward your goals. Darrell has a real passion to pass on what he's learned about attaining the life you desire, and I'm going to miss talking to him.
I know. These three shows have been informative, fun, and we've made a new friend. I'll miss talking to Darrell, too. If anyone listening missed part 1 and part 2 of the series, just go to the World Talk Radio homepage, click onto our host page for Change Your Mind, Change Your Life, click Listen Now, and for April 25th and May 2nd shows are the ones to catch up on.
Okay, and today we're going to hone in on the difference between unable to do and unwilling to do. And Darrell will tell us how he learned to persist and succeed in his endeavors every time.
We all need to learn how to push past our comfort levels, and our success absolutely depends on using the power of our imaginations. We truly live according to who we imagine ourselves to be. Think about what would be worse for you, not having a dream or not realizing the dream you have.
We help people use their imaginations in hypnosis to vividly mentally rehearse the person they want to be, the life they want to live. Your subconscious makes it happen because it can't tell the difference between what you imagine and what's real. If our listeners just integrate Darrell's process and advice into their self-hypnosis program, they'll be absolutely amazed at the change they experience.
Let's get to it, and let's let someone who missed the last 2 programs know who Darrell Knoch really is. Excuse me. Darrell is the author of Mastering a Healthy Self-Image, a guidebook to real success and enormous success, and one of the top 10 Amazon best-selling authors. His book is an inspirational yet practical blueprint. I'm having a little trouble this morning, excuse me. For overcoming adversity, achieving unstoppable self-confidence, and attaining your goals for personal and professional success.
Darrell's story of personal transformation and astounding success is truly inspirational. How a disfigured, abused, and emotionally scarred boy raised on welfare rose to amazing heights in the business world and became a self-made multimillionaire.
Darrell is a wildly successful entrepreneur, generating billions of dollars in revenue. He's an experienced investor, real estate authority, financier, public speaker, author, and mentor to many, including us today. Darrell, welcome back to the show. We're glad you could join us again.
Hi, Darrell.
I'm excited to be here today.
We're excited to have you. So, Darrell, let's get right to it. What's the difference between unable to do and unwilling to do?
Well, except for the rare exception, any of us can do almost anything in life we want if we choose to do that. None of us will have that ability without some obstacles, but we can and we must choose to do more with our life. I had the opportunity to speak to some teachers yesterday in the school in the Los Angeles area. And as I was speaking to those teachers, even teachers were asking me self-limiting questions. Well, why, how is it that I'm going to be able to pass that on to my kids? Some kids just don't want to learn. And I said, that's an excuse. And if you choose to hold on to that excuse, then you're going to live that in your life. But if you say every one of my kids would like to learn if they just understood the value that they would receive from it. And that's your job, is to help them understand the value, not say some of them just don't want to learn and so some of them are hopeless. No one is hopeless if they get the right tools and the right vision for themselves.
That's a real. I really love that example, because we're all, this show is all about helping people to overcome self-limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. As you said, that's a self-limiting statement they started right off with. So it shows that we probably have a tendency to start right off being unwilling to do something because we see it as a little bit risky or scary in some way.
I mean, certainly there is risk in everything that we do in life. The old saying, there's risk in walking across the street. But most of us are okay and are able to get ourselves to walk across the street because we have learned that that risk is pretty low. Mm-hmm. But every risk, if you educate yourself enough, becomes a low risk. If I go out to start a business, or I go out to start having a new skill in life, if I don't educate myself, then the risks are high that I won't succeed. But if I make those decisions of, here's where I'm going, here's what I want to do, here's what skill I want to achieve, and then I educate myself, I practice, I train, then my risk is very low that I won't achieve. My risk is very high that I will achieve, because I practiced, I learned, I educated myself, I took control of my mind, and I said, I will be great at what this new project is.
Exactly. I am. Very powerful. So actually, I would imagine that from your standpoint, there are very, very few things that we're unable to do. There may be some, but most of the time it's a matter of being unwilling.
A long time ago, I had the opportunity to see Zig Ziglar in person many times. And Zig said to the audience, he said, I believe that there are some things that are probably not possible, but very few. He said, mm-hmm. As an example, I think he was maybe about 60, and he was in his early 60s at the time when I saw him say these particular words. He said, I'm of the age, and although Zig did a lot of exercise, really has taken good care of his body over the years. But he said, if you were to put me in the ring with Muhammad Ali today, I probably couldn't whip him. He probably would be able to whip me. And so that probably is a goal that's out of my league and is out of the area that I should take on. But he said, if I would have started at age 20 like Muhammad Ali did, then we got a different story. But, take a look at the story of Colonel Sanders and Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was 65 years old when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it certainly was started literally out of his kitchen in his home. Mm-hmm. At 65, most people would say, I can't start a multinational company that is going to grow to be one of the largest fast food companies in the world. At 65, I'm too old. I don't have the resources. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have. But he didn't. He said, I have a recipe. I have an idea, and I'm going to go talk to one restaurant and see if they might have an interest in cooking my recipe and just giving me a small royalty off of that recipe. And then, over the course of time, he went to 1,000 restaurants and said, how about cooking my recipe and giving me small piece of what your income is just off of that recipe. And, 1,000 people said no. But he was so persistent, he kept on, and at 1,010, someone said, yes, I'll do that. I like your chicken recipe. I think it will help my business grow, and I'll pay you that percentage on just what you sell. And then he went to the next one, and to the next one, and to the next one. But it was only because he told himself, I can do this, I will do this, and I will be successful, and I will keep asking until somebody says yes.
He was 65. People may not realize it, but Jim was 71 when he started this business we're in now. And look where we are today with a very successful practice in San Francisco and a radio program that he started when he was severely, chronically ill, in unbelievable pain, on heavy drugs, and he decided he just wasn't going to live that way anymore. And he operated from that position of I am well, I am relevant, I am going to do something with my life and not be retired anymore. And he started Bay Area Hypnotherapy at age 71. And I'd like to...
One living example of what persistence and belief in yourself will do.
Absolutely. And I'd like to interject something here from a hypnotic standpoint. We've talked a lot about how important the I am statements are. And you were talking about telling yourself, I am going to do this, I will do this. I'd like to even take that a step further from what we've learned in hypnosis. Your subconscious mind doesn't listen when you say I will, or I will do this, or I'm going to try that, or maybe this will work. It doesn't happen. If I had a client here right now and I were advising them, I would tell them to say, I am going to do this, I can do this, talking about in the present. Our favorite quote is from Yoda in Star Wars. There is no try, only do or do not.
Absolutely.
Try gives you permission not to do it until later, or maybe not at all.
I know that both you and I believe the same in that we must visualize in living color with excitement that would turn the world on about what we are about to do if we want to be successful. If you start telling yourself, I am going to keep after this until I become successful, and you start visualizing that success, you start visualizing with the excitement level, and you visualize it in living color, you will achieve what you are after.
Why is being in comfort zone such a dangerous place to stay? I mean, we talk about the comfort zone all the time, but there's a danger of being successful, isn't there?
Anything great and anything worthwhile always is going to stretch you as a person. Mm-hmm. If you stay in your comfort zone, then you're going to stay right where you're at because that feels comfortable to you and it doesn't stretch you. But if you want to go someplace different, you have to start working on being in a different level of comfort. And so, we all have challenges. We all have things that make us uncomfortable. But if we just start small and we stick our toe in the water and we learn to have just a little bit larger comfort zone and just a little bit larger comfort zone next week and then the next week and the next week, and then all of a sudden that comfort zone becomes much larger than it was, and everything grows exponentially. If you do something this week and then you do something again next week, you're going to create greater results the second, the third, the fourth. Every time you do that same thing again, you're going to, because you've practiced, you've gotten better at it, you're going to get more results. from every time you repeat that practice.
Right.
And if you were talking to someone about stress, if anyone has studied about stress levels, that ties into this. There are two kinds of stress. There's good stress and bad stress. Bad stress is that stress that you're under continually, that you have little control over, that affects your health and it's dysfunctional. But good stress is a motivating stress, and that's why it's important to get out of that comfort zone. It's a little bit stressful to get out of that comfort zone, but when you do, it's motivating. And it does motivate you to the next level, and it is that good kind of stress. It's just a little stressful, but it's like you said, you put your toe in the water, you find that it's okay. I'm going to have to take a break here. It's time for a commercial break. That's a good place to do it. This is Jim and Lynn Swearingen, and you're listening to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life on the World Talk Radio Variety Channel. After the break, we'll continue with Darrell. So please stay tuned for more.
Welcome back to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. Again, let me remind you that we're a call-in program. We hope you'll participate. Give us a call and ask your questions if you have them. 1-866-613-1612. Again, 1-866-613-1612, or email your questions to info@bayareahypnotherapy.com.
Hey, Darrell. Okay, this is really good information. I wanted to ask you if you have some tips that you personally use to keep a mindset of perseverance.
I do. I set up goals for myself, and I set up short-range goals as well as long-range goals. But by setting up those short-range goals, that helps me see that I made headway. I've accomplished that particular goal. Let's say that, this afternoon, I'm in the Los Angeles area today, and so I want to go see some schools this afternoon. So I made a list. Here's the schools that are close to where I'm at right now, and so I make a list. Here's what I want to do by 3 o'clock this afternoon, and here's what I want to do by 4 o'clock this afternoon. And then I check those off as I've accomplished them. So, goals aren't just for what you're going to be doing 5 years from now, or that you're going to be retired at age 50, or, whatever that goal might be. Goals are what are you going to accomplish today also. And so by making a list each day, here's what I want to have done by the end of the day. And by you accomplishing those things and being able to check them off, that helps remind you that you are achieving and you are making progress, and that gives you the ability to keep going forward, because every day you're achieving where some of the things that you've set out to achieve, and that gives you the persistence to keep going forward.
I find there's nothing like being able to draw a line through one thing on your list. Even if it was the simplest little thing, it feels so good to cross that thing off.
And I think we ought to put more simple things on our list, because that accomplishment feedback feeds our ability to be persistent. And so, even though it seems simple and it really seems like I'm not going to write that down, because I know I'm going to remember to do that. Write it down anyhow and cross it out, because that simple act feeds your accomplishment feedback, and it will help you stay persistent. It will help you stay keen on where you're going. Just crossing that thing off is so fulfilling. Put more things on your to-do list each day that you don't think are necessary. Put them on there and cross them off.
All right.
How do you keep obstacles from hindering your progress toward those goals? There are obviously obstacles that get in your way. What do you do with those?
Well, we all are going to have obstacles. We all have things that are difficult for us to get over. But, take them one piece at a time. Don't look at it as I've got to do this whole thing all at once. everything can be broken down into smaller pieces. Mm-hmm. And when you break it down into smaller pieces, then it becomes a much less daunting obstacle to overcome. You instead of climbing the whole mountain, you climb one hill at a time till you reach the top of the mountain, and then that helps you not be so afraid of that obstacle.
Okay.
That's really good advice, because if you have a really significant goal, it's always going to be daunting if you look at the whole big picture all at once. It's really critical if you've got something worthwhile to be looking at one thing at a time. Like you said, climbing one hill at a time makes all the difference.
Well, we all have a tendency to have some fears in life. And so if we learn to lessen the size of what we're trying to do, then that lessens the amount of fear. And so that the less fear we have, the easier it is to go forward.
Are you saying that small successes encourage you to go on to bigger things? Is that what I'm hearing?
It is. It absolutely is.
Okay.
We all want to create greatness in our life. We should all want to create greatness in our life. But if we look at it as one big mountain, it stops us from even starting. And so we do need to create that great big vision, but then break it down into small stepping stones so that we will easily start stepping forward each day to create that great vision.
So if you succeed, you take that as encouragement. If you fail, you take that as a learning experience. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. I mean, I know that we've talked about this in the past, but
yes,
it's such an important issue that, I'm going to take what I'm doing right now as an example. And I know we've talked about this, but, I've been a business person all my life. And being a business person all my life, I've certainly had plenty of failures. But as an author, I'm starting out in a new direction in my life. And so I really stepped onto this stage about the first part of November for all practical purposes. And because I am a goal setter and I'm an achiever, I wrote down a goal that I said, I'm going to sell 3,000 books between now and December 31st, 2011. And here's some of the steps that I'm going to take in order to achieve that goal. Well, as I started going through those steps and I got to December 31st, I had only sold 100 copies of my book. So I could say, wow, I guess, I hear all the time that so many authors never really achieve any success. Maybe I'm going to be one of those same not successful authors. But I didn't. I said, I guess I didn't do all of the things that I should have done quite the way that I should have done them. And so now I've set another goal. I'm going to sell 3,000 copies of my book between January 1st and March 31st. But what did I do that I should probably look at and change and learn from and do differently? And I did learn some new skills. I did learn some new connections. I learned some new tricks. And between January 1st and March 31st, I sold over 4,000 copies of my book.
Congratulations.
In some ways, you could say I failed in my first attempt, but then I over-exceeded in my second attempt. But what I choose to say to myself is I learned a great deal of lessons during that first 90 days, and I took those lessons and I used them much wiser the second 90 days, and I overcame those obstacles, and I did achieve my goal.
Darrell, that's a great place for us to break, and we'll pick up on that when we come back. It's time for another break. So you are listening to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life with Jim and Lynn Swearingen on the World Talk Radio Variety Channel. Please stay tuned for more.
Welcome back to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. If you're just joining us now, we're talking to Darrell Knoch, the author of Mastering Healthy Self-Image, a guidebook to real happiness and enormous success. Again, Darrell, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you being on our program. Thank you so much.
Well, I really appreciate being here.
Before we broke, Darrell, you were explaining to Jim about how you keep obstacles from hindering progress. And I wonder if you could take that a little further by explaining to our listeners how savoring their setbacks can be a valuable tool.
Well, you know, most of us have been conditioned to look at a mistake as a bad thing. We've been conditioned to look at something that didn't turn out the way we had expected it to be something that we call a failure. And I really believe that we need to recondition our mind to calling those all great learning experiences. You know, we get through life by overcoming obstacles. If everything were just spectacularly easy, it wouldn't build the level of excitement in us to be able to overcome those challenges. We as human beings, we enjoy a challenge. We enjoy the excitement of making something happen that someone else said that might be a difficult scenario. You know, especially men, you know, they like to be macho and say, I did this when my brother couldn't do this, or, you know, they enjoy that. So, you know, we have to change the way we think about a mistake. We have to look at it as not a mistake, it was a learning experience. And, you know, I tell people, you know, I have made so many things go wrong in my lifetime, but I love to learn, so look at what an exciting life I've had.
You know, there was a great quote from Thomas Edison. I don't remember the exact number of times that he tried to create a light bulb and it didn't work, but it was at least 1,000 times.
It was actually more than 10,000 times.
It was, okay, I knew it was in the thousands somewhere. And when that's mind-boggling. I didn't dare use a number like that without looking it up. So someone asked him how he could persevere after having so many failures, and he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways not to do it.
That's exactly right.
And that's what we call reframing.
What a learning experience.
Yeah.
You know, look at Walt Disney. I mean, Walt Disney is a personal favorite of mine. You know, what a man that touched the world in such a positive way, and still years after his passing, he's still touching the world in such a magical way.
Yes,
but no one would ever, most people don't realize that Walt Disney filed for bankruptcy several times in his life.
I've heard that. I've heard his biography. He had great visions.
None of us would classify Walt Disney as a failure. He had some obstacles. He overcame those obstacles, but he knew where he was going, and he knew what his outcome was, and he continued on, even through personal bankruptcy several times. He got back up, he got back on his feet, and he said, there's my vision. I'm continuing to go. I'm going to make it.
I remember reading years ago, that he started off with, when we were talking a minute ago about starting with simple goals, he had a piece of paper that he carried around in his pocket when he began to get the idea of having an amusement park. He had visited many, and they were dirty, grimy places. And the paper he carried around said 3 things, and I apologize, I can't remember the third thing, but it said, no dirty windows, no faded paint, and something else. the three major detractors he saw in these places having a really good time. And he carried those three simple things in his pocket, and those were his simple goals, his early vision, and that's what became Disneyland.
Right.
Just having clean windows and fresh paint.
Well, speaking of that particular mindset, restaurant businesses are the highest business failure in the world. People start a restaurant, and they go out of business a lot of times within the first year. And I have noticed that one of the things that I see in a lot of situations where restaurants are not doing well is they're not keeping their restaurant clean, and they're not having a great smile on their face as they're greeting their customers.
Mm-hmm.
There's an old saying that there's no such thing as business failure, it's people failure. And if we want to be successful, we want to be superstars, we have to treat ourselves beginning, and we have to treat our customers just like we want to be treated. So if you're a customer, do you want to come into a dirty, not painted amusement park, or do you want to come into a sparkling, clean, updated, painted, beautiful, smiling faces amusement park?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We were talking early in the program in our introduction about the difference between not having a dream and not realizing the dream you have. Can you talk a little bit about what do you think is more unfortunate in our lives?
Well, I personally believe that the most unfortunate thing in life is not having the dream, not building a level of excitement for yourself that you can do something that you really want to do. All of us, if we would take just a little bit of time, we could start to build a dream that would give us excitement for life. And so, certainly not achieving that dream is a tragedy. But if you never have the dream and you never work towards achieving that dream, even if you have started working towards that dream and you've set your goal out a little too far and you don't quite get to that same level of success, but you did go for it, you did work towards it, you did live in the moment of enjoying the journey of that, to me, not having a dream is by far the biggest tragedy. If you don't accomplish everything in life you want, but you've had the dream, you've worked towards the dream, you were successful.
Right.
That's so meaningful. I know, living in a city like San Francisco, you see people in large groups on the buses, in the subway, on the streets, and you can see that that's a big thing in our society. People have lost their ability to dream. There's such boredom and meaninglessness in their faces.
As a matter of fact, I was in San Francisco Saturday afternoon. I got there about 5 o'clock, and I did notice that there were lots of people walking through the streets of San Francisco, and here in L.A., the same thing. They just are walking through life with no excitement in their stride, no excitement in their face. They are just wandering, and all they have to do is make a dream for themselves and start working each day just a little bit towards achieving that dream, and they could change their life. And, they could change the scope of their life overnight by just sitting down and building that dream and taking the first step to getting there. Their excitement level will skyrocket.
Great.
Last week we talked a great deal about positive affirmations. In the field of hypnotism, we talk about litany, what you say to yourself, or autosuggestion, which is another name for it. How do your affirmations keeping on? And give us some examples of your affirmation. I think it's really important that people understand what you're doing and how you're doing it so they can succeed too.
Well, I think that all of us have to remind ourselves each day, because we all have obstacles, we all have negativity around us, and so if we're not taking the responsibility to remind ourselves each day by having affirmations, by having those goals, then we're losing some enthusiasm that will help us continue on and be perseverance. So, one of the things, as you know, that I have taped to my mirror in my bathroom, and I know you have a copy of it, is my little affirmation card that says, I like myself, I love my life, I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I add brightness to the life of everyone I meet. That's a generic affirmation, but that is such a foundation stone of helping us be happier, healthier people.
I think it's awesome. It is generic, but it's extremely powerful. It's a fantastic foundation. I've taken the liberty of giving that affirmation to other people. It has remarkable effects.
You are.
I've got it taped to my bookcase next to my bed. It's a very wonderful affirmation.
Right, and then
that's just one affirmation.
You can add your personal affirmations.
What about the affirmation? Let's say that I want to be an auto mechanic, but I don't know how to be an auto mechanic today. And so I put together a set of affirmations to lead me towards being an auto mechanic. And I say, I learned how to, and you fill in the blank. I learned how to use a wrench today. I learned how to use a magnetic screwdriver today. I learned how to get my education further today than I was yesterday. If I say to myself, I've learned today how to further my education as being an auto mechanic, and I am going to be great today at this. Find the affirmations that really fit. We want to have the general affirmations, but we want to have specific affirmations. What is it that I'm accomplishing, and what reminder will help me stay at it every day?
We're going to take a break in a second, but before that, I want to add to that. When you give yourself a specific affirmation, like I've learned to do this today, and it's part of your goal, say to be an auto mechanic, you give yourself a reward. And at the end of that affirmation, you say, and I feel motivated, or I feel strong, or awesome, or powerful, or happy, whatever it makes you feel. And then your thoughts are connected to an emotion in your mind, and it propels you on toward that goal. But we do have to have a commercial break now. I'm sorry, it comes up so fast. You're listening to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life on the World Talk Radio Variety Channel. Please stay tuned for more.
Welcome back, everyone, to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. And now we go back to Darrell. How are you doing, Darrell?
I am awesome today. How about you?
Yes, awesome is the word. I know.
We're coming to the end of the show, so before we get back into asking you more questions, maybe you'd like to tell the listeners how they can reach you, how they can get your book, and about workshops you have coming up.
Well, I appreciate that. The best place to find me is truewealthuniversity.com. That will give you all the information about my book, about a 2-day live seminar that I'm doing on May 19th and 20th. Anything that I'm doing, we have it on that website, truewealthuniversity.com.
Now, where's that located, Darrell?
It is in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, yes, I know Scottsdale. All right.
Lots of sunshine.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right, let's finish our discussion. You know, everyone talks about and writes about how to obtain real success, and you yourself, had a very eclectic approach where when you needed help, you reached out to all these different people that talk about success. How do you differ from the others? And why is it that with so many teachers out there, have so few of us actually achieved what we want to achieve? What's holding us back?
Well, you ask why I'm different, and, I tell people that the reason I'm different is I achieved massive success before I started teaching others how to achieve massive success. Most others, although I've learned some great material from them, they actually never mastered the success in the way that I did in business and really doing the day-to-day things that it was necessary. I lived that life for 35 years, and so I'm able to pass that information on from true life experience, true life stories. And, if someone wants to achieve success, they have to start with one thing, and that is making the decision to start that achievement. You've got to decide, what is it that I want to do? What is it that can build excitement in me so that I will be excited every day as I get up to go work towards achieving that goal? And that right there is the foundation to start off.
That's fantastic. One of the phrases we like to use is let your decision activate your experience, and that's how you do it.
Absolutely.
Do you have any favorite stories, success stories that you want to share? We have just a minute or so left.
Well, any great person that has achieved any really great level of success that we might think of as great has had many obstacles. They've had many failures, if you call it that, many learning experiences along the way. But what they did was they never let it stop them. They made the decision of where they were going. They overcame those obstacles, and they achieved the greatness that they set out to achieve because they never gave up.
And to do that, you really need to believe in yourself. You really need to follow your dream. People will discourage you and tell you that you can't do it and ask you why you keep keeping on. And you really need to be your own person in this and learn to trust and just move out.
I totally agree. I say that you must believe in yourself with passion and never give up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, Darrell, I'm sorry we're going to have to say goodbye. It's been wonderful having you on the show, and
it certainly has, Darrell.
We wish you more and more success.
Well, thank you so much. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I look forward to the day that we get to talk again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And don't you come back to San Francisco without calling us.
Absolutely. Stop in. See us.
All right. I will.